To this week's networking session. I take it there's been a lot of snow across the country this week because everybody I've spoken to is like, yeah, I've had to get out at 7:30 and shovel the school drive. We've had frost, we haven't had snow, thank goodness. I am delighted that this week that somebody who has supported the network for a very long time has agreed to come and do a session for us. It's Gavin from Mindscreen. Those of you who've been with us for a while will remember that Gavin has done a session for us in the past and talked about the product. He's come back today and he's going to have another chat with us and give us some background and tell us all about Mindscreen and very fantastic offer that he has got in place for you. I reckon he'd been on the Christmas sherry at the time he wrote that one. But anyway, I'm going to pass over to Gavin and let him talk to you for tonight's session. Thank you, Gavin.
Abigail, thank you very much. And the man in the engine room, my namesake, Gavin, thank you too. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. I did have a very brief introduction to, and then get straight to a bit of a demonstration, show you what Mindscreen's about. But Abigail assured me that my story is something that you might find interesting. And so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself, about the history. So I was a remedial student in school, followed up with a dyslexia diagnosis, fell out of school, found it really, really difficult to get a job. However, managed to, with my dad's encouragement, complete a electrical apprenticeship. And when I finished that, I asked the company if they would make me redundant, because I wanted to go back to college and learn something new and see if I could better myself, get a better role, a better job. But that was probably a bit of a mistake, because it took me quite some time. I had a biscuit tin full of the Dear John letters. And it wasn't until I saw an advert in the newspaper for a job overseas. I applied. They sent me these assessments, a behavioral assessment and a motivational assessment, and an IQ assessment, actually, which I completed and shipped back through the mail to them. They called me and said, yes, would you like to come to an interview in London? And I said, yeah, I will. But, not really being paid a small amount of money. I was sort of paid Friday afternoon and poor by Saturday morning. So I didn't go to this initial interview. And some months later, they called me up and said, look, we're still interested. We've got another round of interviews. Would you like to come? So I jumped on the Greyhound bus. Went down, got off the bus at Waterloo, went into what was then, it might be showers now, but in those days, you jumped in a tin bath 2 minutes after some other dude had jumped out of it, to freshen yourself up, put on your best bib and tucker, to go to the Mayfair Hotel for the interview. So I arrived looking like something that the cat had dragged home after a night of hunting, with sort of leather, biker's trousers, a jacket, belts and buckles, not looking like a professional, like somebody should look when they go for an interview, let's say. So anyway, ended up being interviewed on the landing of the hotel, because the director for Europe for this company refused to have me in the same room as him. So I was being interviewed. As people were walking down to breakfast and coming back from breakfast, I'm sitting on this little landing area in the hotel, and the guy said to me, Bobby Holmes, I'll never forget his name, fabulous person. He said, I'll give you an opportunity on 3 conditions. 1, you cut off your ponytail. 2, you dye your hair back to its original color. And 3, you take out your earrings during office hours. And I said, I'll take it. I had a fabulous career with this organization, and this is how I learned about the behavioral assessments, motivational assessments, and I began to use them in the recruitment, training, and development of staff for this company. And that's how I kind of validated the assessments in my own mind as having an excellent effect on me. They knew the environment that they were going to ask me to work in, and they understood the characteristics, behavioral and motivational characteristics that would succeed or had a better chance of success in that environment. And that's why they put a lot of emphasis on them when they hired me. So 96, we started Mindscreen. And very, very shortly after that, I was involved with the Entrepreneurial Exchange, a Scottish company that supported entrepreneurial people. I know this is not necessarily applicable in your environment. However, this next bit will be. So we asked the Scottish entrepreneurs, men and women, about 80 of them, just over, to respond to our assessments. By this time, we had made an arrangement with one of the biggest American assessment companies, and the entrepreneurs answered the assessments. We collated the results and published them at the 4th McGill Conference on International Entrepreneurship in Strathclyde University. We found very high correlations in the way they behaved and what was it that motivated them to do what they do. So at this time, we were also collaborating with a couple of schools. One was Edinburgh Wester Hailes Education Centre. Another one was Gavin High School in Glasgow. And we said to them, look, hey guys, how about we give every child in year 7 one of our profiles? They'll learn something about themselves, you'll learn something about them, you'll understand them, how to interact and relate, communicate with them. And we'll do some anonymous research in the background to see, do some of these pupils fit the entrepreneurial characteristics that we identified? And we'll let you know which pupils they are. And we were expecting them to be the sort of peak performers and stuff. And what actually happened is when we said to the head and assistant head and so on, that these are the pupils we've identified who have got the same or similar characteristics within plus or minus parameters of the entrepreneurs, they said these are the most challenging, disruptive, in some cases underachieving pupils that we have. And that was especially applicable in the inner city, tough reality environments, which of course at Wester Hailes Education Centre and Gavin High School were both. So the government, Scottish Executive Education Department, SEED, got interested in what we were doing. And they we put together a project with them, and we spread this over 6 schools in Scotland and 1 in England. And we appointed Strathclyde Uni as our internal research team, and Glasgow Uni, the government appointed Glasgow Uni as their sort of umbrella research team. And we ran a micro and a macro program. So the micro were all the pupils who had been identified similar characteristics to the entrepreneurs, and the macro were the rest. And the macro program, we had developed the lesson plans, the exercises, activities, engaging the pupils to help them, along with their profile, understand themselves. And that was delivered by the teachers in these schools. And we worked with the micro group. And throughout the process, Kevin Loudon, the senior researcher in charge of the overarching research project, at the end, he obviously completed a report, and that report basically stated that the pupils, mums and dads, by the way, along with teachers and the pupils, all concurred on this, that confidence improved, decision-making and communication skills improved, and aspirations raised. So, and here we are today. So, our mission, as it were, with your help, we've got these tools, but we can't do it on our own. We're just not capable. So we really, really hope that you like what you see today, because our mission is to help children flourish. And that comes from, first of all, self-understanding, which our profiles will help them understand their skills, their strengths, their talents, and secondly, helping them flourish through building up their confidence and their self-belief, which our lesson plans and the really funky activities and games and cool stories that are in the activities, simple for you to deliver, I'll show you them, will help build up their confidence and their self-belief. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take you through a demo and show you all the component parts and what's in it for you. And then at the end, you'll know immediately if it's something that's right for you, right for your school, right for your pupils. And I hope it is. So let me just see what I need to do here just to switch screens and so on. Right, so there's several parts to this, but I think what I'm going to focus on here with everybody this evening is the main engine, as it were, the Mindscreen Experience. So this is my demo account, and you can see it welcomes me. So when you sign up and take advantage of our offer after this evening, if you feel it's for you, then you'll have access to this to our Mindscreen Experience. You'll have your own secure account, and what you'll see when you first access it is everything down to the fields here. And let me just show you what that is very, very briefly. So clearly there's some information to help you familiarize yourself with what you've got in your fingertips. This section here, we update resources quite frequently, so it's a very good place to quickly check to see if you're actually using the latest lesson plans and so on. And then there are some how-to videos, so that if you're a bit stuck on something, there's probably a video that'll help you figure it out. If you're working, this little test that we're going through now with 4 pupils, you probably won't need to set up groups, but you can see here that I've set up sample groups, year 7, 22, year 8, 22, and I've got subgroups. So you can organize your pupils by a group, and then you can actually add them to a subgroup if you want to involve LSAs, TAs, and so on. So this is how it works. So you, very first thing that we best practice we suggest is that you add yourself as if you were a child. So you would Gavin Devereux, email address, select gender, click add child, and that would be published here on your dashboard, just like Angie Hewitt. Okay, if you've created a group, then you can add Angie to the groups, as I've done here, and then you can send yourself an invitation. And the benefit of sending yourself an invitation is that you can see everything that you're going to ask your pupils to complete, and that's of great value because you're able to understand it, and you're able to introduce it to them and manage expectations. So I'm just going to send myself an invitation so you can see what happens. You can see I've sent this one to myself a few times. It's an invitation sent to Angie, and I've sent it to here, so it should come in. There it is. So the pupil receives an email. You've entered their email address, and when they click on this link, then can everybody see that now? Yeah. It welcomes Angie. So she's on a secure account as well. And there's 3 assessments in here. I'm not going to take you through them because that would take too long. But the first one is about behaviors. And the objective here is to say, okay, you would order the drag and drop the statements in the order of importance to you. So this is most like and least like. If they have a little bit of need a little bit of help understanding a meaning, then there's a help section for each and every question, etc. So that's pretty much the assessment. They would go through the 24 behaviors. They then go through 12 motivators, and then they go through 12 self-worth. And what happens is when they complete, as soon as they've completed, I'm back to the dashboard. I hope everybody can see that. I'm going to show you, none of these people are, the ones I show you are real students or anything. They're for demonstration purposes only. So the minute that the child has completed their initial response, your account is published with these 3 items here. First, their profile, second, their personalized learning style, and third, their learning improvement graph. And I'll show you those now. So here's Tony. And this is the profile that every child would get, which would be unique to them. And you can see there Tony's name at the top there on the right. So this is an introduction, which is not unique, it's standard, but this About Me section and following sections are all unique to the child. So there's a number of statements there that help Tony understand himself and also help you understand Tony. His wants and needs, how he sees himself, which is very good visual, describing his traits very clearly to you very quickly. How he prefers to interact, relate, communicate with others, and barriers to good communication, things that would switch him off in terms of communication interaction. This page is a standard introduction to this page, which I'm going to spend a little bit of time on here because it's quite valuable what we're looking at. So we call this the Success Insights wheel, and what we're looking at is a dot and a star. So the introduction, let me sort of take a step back. And if you guys just imagine an elastic band lying on your desk in front of you right now, then that band is it's at rest. It's in its natural state, let's say. And that's the dot. So we're measuring instinctive or more or less conscious, more subconscious characteristics, natural characteristics in the dot. But you can pick that elastic band up and you can stretch it out and you can change its characteristics. You can adapt it, let's call it, yeah? And that's the star. We're measuring adaptation. So everybody knows that if we keep that elastic band stretched out for a long period of time, adapting its natural state to something else, it's going to get under tension and it may even snap. And people the same. So everybody, we all adapt and we do it all the time. Going out with your mates on a Friday night might be different to sitting in an exam on a Monday morning, for example. So what this page gives us all is a very quick indication. So what we can say here in the case of Tony is that his natural and his adapted characteristics are very, very, they're in the same sector there, and he's being himself. He's not adapting his way of being. But if we saw the dot up here and the star down here or over here, we could say that's a big adaptation. It's a big change he's making, and we could then say to ourselves, well, maybe we could ask him some questions. Has something changed at home? Has something changed at school? Is he concerned about something at the moment? And try and help him understand and build himself and relax and go back to his natural way of being. So this page will help you identify students or pupils who may be under tension or stress. And then here, the final part of the behavioral response is my success tips. And these tips are designed to help Tony understand how to set himself up in the best way based on his behaviors to get the most out of himself, essentially. And that's page 11, and that's driven from the first 24 questions, the behavioral response. And then skills, study, and career choice insights, again, an introduction here. These are driven from the motivational assessment, the 12 questions. And you can see here what we're doing is, based on Tony's answers, we're highlighting areas with skills behind. So based on his unique style and motive, he's we're highlighting these skills, whether he realizes that he might have these skills yet or not. We're helping him begin to recognize that he has skills. And, I left school with nothing much in the way of an education. I built up beliefs in my mind that I was not as good as others. And that, in fact, I was a stupid boy and I would never amount to much. And it took me a long time to understand how I could change my own mind, which changes the way I believed about myself, which would then ultimately change my behavior. So I'm going to cover a bit more on this because this is personal interests, attitudes, and what we value in life. This is what we're measuring here. Okay, so we're lining Tony's skills up to prospective study pathways that would be most likely, you can see the shape is the same, most likely to use Tony's natural gifts. And furthermore, to career options, again, that would be most likely, these pathways in career terms would be most likely to fulfill his use his skills, fulfill his personal interests, attitudes, and what he values. So, we get up in the morning, and if we get value satisfaction on the job, then we get out of bed quick, we get into work quick, we enjoy our day, we feel as though we're getting job satisfaction. And that's because our values and interests and attitudes are being met in the environment that we're working within. So that's again what we're measuring here. Right, so that's the profile, and you automatically get that straight away. You also get the child's personalized learning style. So what we've done here is we've mined two short statements from each child's profile, and you can see here what we're trying to do is to give you guys a very short statement that helps you understand how Tony likes to interact, relate, communicate, and learn based on his behavioral responses, and what would get his attention, what would be interesting to him in two short statements, which you could pass out around staff in classes, etc., etc. Other schools are already using it in that way. Okay, so the third thing that you get for Tony is his learning improvement graph, which is generated from the third assessment, the self-worth assessment. So here, I'm just going to scroll that down there so you can see. So these are the questions that Tony's answering about himself, and he's weighting himself on a scale of 1 to 10. And you can very quickly, you got a picture very quickly about how Tony feels about himself in terms of his confidence, his self-belief, and his self-esteem and self-worth. And you can see straight away opportunities for development for Tony. So let me go back to the dashboard. And I'm going to take you in here now, and I'm going to come back to the dashboard later. So these are the teaching and learning resources that we have. So I'm going to start from the README first. I'm not going to show you them all because you'll get into it yourselves when you get up, when you have your when you work with your pupils. This is going to help you understand from our perspective best practice how to deliver the program, getting started. Bit of additional information about how to understand each child's profile. Two places in our profiles where you can identify tension and stress, and this highlights that for you. Lesson plan summary, emailing invitations to children, and a certificate of completion if you choose to use it. So going over here first, booklet. We're creating personal development opportunities for the child. But the triad, it's us, isn't it? It's the child, it's the teacher, and it's the parent. And there's opportunities throughout our program to engage mums and dads. And one of them at the very beginning, once you've created each child's profile, you could email to parents, and schools do, and parents love it. And it's a good idea to include this booklet along with that if you do go through that process. It helps them understand. 3 handouts, 1 page, what it is, why it's important, how to build it. And then these are the lesson plans. So they're all set up in the same way. Leader guide, learner diary. And all of the activities in each of the lesson plans are set out on a step-by-step basis. And as you take the children through the exercise activities and stories, they can be recording their learning in their learner diary. And they're at the same time taking a deep dive into their personal profile, pulling out their skills, their strengths, understanding themselves, building up their confidence and self-esteem as they go. So the way that we set the program up to work best is that you would introduce the program with the profile. That might be an hour, might be less, could be 35, 40 minutes. It depends on, you've got to email, you bring the children in, you want to control the environment in which they receive their emails. You don't want to send the invitations and for them to be on the bus being influenced by their mates or interrupted or disturbed. It's very important that when you do send the invitations, you have the children in front of you. So you've sent them the invitation, they've gone through the assessment. Some take longer than others, and that's perfectly acceptable. And then there's a little bit of administration in regard to printing off each child's profile. And then you might like to introduce the profile to the children and be with them present so that you can answer any questions and so on and so forth before you begin the lesson plan. So if you think about that, you've got a couple of steps up front, and then you've got 9 lesson plans plus easy feedback and easy checkup, which I'll describe in a moment. So and each one of the lesson plans is somewhere in there of 45 minutes to an hour. The objective would be to go through easy awareness, easy belief, easy confidence, and easy skills. And then I'm going to show you something that you can do to start measuring improvement. Right, so you've taken a group, let's say, and that group includes, includes Jane Jones down here. And Jane has worked with you through the first 4 lesson plans, and then you've sent Jane her second invitation. And Jane has completed it, and you can see she can now be sent her third. But when she completes her second invitation, this is what you get. So she is now answering the self-worth assessment for the second time, and you can see there that was her first response, and that's her second response. So you can begin to see changes, improvements, or in this case, where work or opportunities to help her still are present. So you can start to measure Jane's improvement over time. You then go back to the lesson plans and continue the program. Study choice, career choice, CV. I'm just going to explain that just for a moment, because there is a very short section on how to prepare a CV. But the most important part of that lesson plan is actually about helping the young people create a personal statement that's actually relevant to them. Because, employers are your employers, I'm sure you've seen this, I'm good, I can work in a team, and I'm also good at working on my own. I mean, that's such a common thing. Difficult to put together a personal statement that actually says something about you as a person and draws out your own specific gifts and skills. And our profiles and the Easy CV lesson plan is designed to do exactly that. And then you carry on with Easy Success and Easy Future. And then you can go back to the third, and send each child who'd been involved their third invitation. So let's say, if we look at Joe Smith down here, he's now completed. So he was sent his third invitation and he completed it. And this is what his learning improvement graph now looks like. So there's your 3 responses over time, showing improvement in Joe's self-esteem, confidence, self-belief. Okay, back to the teaching and learning resources just for a moment and into the lesson plans. Easy feedback is another opportunity to, it's an opportunity to congratulate the children, show the children how much they've learned about themselves, boost their confidence even more, and possibly even involve mums and dads. And Easy Checkup, one of the schools we've been working with for quite some time now, suggested this, so we added it fairly recently. Their idea here was that twofold. One, it would be very, very helpful to check up on the child 8 to 10 weeks after completing their Mindscreen experience to see how they're doing, see if any additional support is necessary. But also at the same time, it gives 8 to 10 weeks lapsed from the end of the program to Easy Checkup, where their behavior, their engagement, and their activities in class, the tutors can report back. Have they seen any improvement in this child in the classroom? Are they more engaging? Are they more putting their hand up and asking questions, and so on and so forth? So that's the program essentially. The other piece is that this is the main problem. But the other piece is the free child self-esteem check, which I'll just cover very, very briefly here. I'm already logged in, so if I wasn't, you would see fields here to add first name, email address, and password, and you can create a free account. And it's designed for mums and dads, teachers, carers, because it's 36 questions that you answer on behalf of your child or a child that you know well, and the objective is it's going to produce an indication from your point of view about that child's level of self-esteem. So this is going to be in your account as well. And you can see here, when you first land here, you just see the free child self-esteem check dashboard, the introduction here, and add a child. So I've added Sam here, for example, and you can see that you can, I've created an assessment of Sam's level of self-esteem from my perspective in February 22, and then another one in November 22. So you can assess the same child as many times as you like, and you can add as many children as you like. And it's very helpful that, if you felt like it, you might involve parents, and I'll tell you why you might do that in a moment. So this is what it looks like. Some of you may have already seen this yourselves. Based on your answers, it produces a score and an indication about that child's level of self-esteem and recommendations of what you might do to help that child. And here is a second opinion, and that's back to the parent idea. So if you've created an assessment for a child, it's very helpful to involve mums and dads to do the same. So you could say to them, just create your own free child esteem account on Mindscreen, and you do an assessment, and then we could come together and discuss the results later. Or in some cases, our own state of mind at the time of completing this can affect the outcome. So it's always very good to get a second opinion, whether it's you, one of your colleagues, or a parent. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to I'll leave it logged in, but I'm going to go back here.
Ah, there you go. Perfect. We've got you.
Thank you, Abigail.
That's all right. Okay. So Gavin's just about to paste a question by the looks of it.
We have had some questions from primary SENCOs recently. We advertise on site a reading age of 11 plus. But we have had mums and dads have taken their children through as young as 9. and they did comprehend and understood and benefited from it. So I think what we're trying to say is we haven't advertised to primary schools in the past. This initiative that we're working with Abigail and Gavin on is the very first time. If you're a primary and you're sitting there and you like it and you see it, you think it could help, then we're very happy, delighted to work with you on the idea that, you know, we need to try it and see how, you know, maybe with the older pupils, year 6 for sure, maybe year 5, just have a go.
I can back that up. So I first used your product 2.5 years ago now, I think, maybe even coming up to 3 years ago. And if you go to the website, you'll see where I wrote a testimonial for Gavin's product, because actually I do believe in it. It's really good. At the time, we were looking at secondary students, and somebody did ask me, can we use it with younger students? And it really depends on their maturity, it depends on their language, it depends on a lot of things. Year 5 and year 6, with a little bit of adult support for reading, I don't see why it wouldn't be a problem. However, if we're talking a year 5 or a year 6 who has significant cognitive delays, they probably won't understand the vocabulary that's in there. So, and if you start changing that vocabulary, it's not going to work. So just play it by ear a little bit with those students if that's what you're looking at. But it's certainly usable with younger students, possibly even down to year 4, maybe even year 3 if there's somebody, you know, a child with a good vocabulary and understanding of words. Gavin, have we got that question now? Brilliant, thank you. So one of the questions that came up is, what format do the lessons take? Are they as wordy as the assessments?
Okay, so your leader guide, let's say, will have an activity. Let's call it, let's say, the dog story. So it'll suggest to you that this is the dog story. This is the objective of the dog story. This is what you're hoping to pass on to the pupils. And this is how to set up and deliver the dog story. And you follow and add all your experience and expertise to it. You follow that step-by-step process, deliver the dog story, and the pupils are just writing down a couple of words in their learner diary about what they learned from that exercise. So the lesson plans, there is content in there for sure, but it's laid out in an easy to understand way. Any TA, LSA, mum or dad, or educated adult can pick it up and understand it without any difficulty whatsoever.
I would agree with that. I've just reopened my screen up to check them out, and yeah, they're fairly easy to use. And the student booklets are definitely less wordy. They're user friendly. Let's put it that way. So yeah, not a problem there. You got any other questions, Jane?
Well, while we're here's another thought about the lesson plans and the interaction with the profile. So the profile, the thought pattern was there was quite a lot of text in there for the child to understand. So most of the exercises, for example, let's say easy skills, it would ask the child to go to the skills page, and they might do this in pairs or individually. The exercises can be set up so that they learn from each other, person A, person B, etc. But they would be asked to circle 4 or 6 skills that they believe they have on that page.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's they're kind of distilling down the content of their profile to things that really apply to them. Let's put it that way.
I'm just looking at the confidence one at the moment. So I'm looking at the teacher guide. So it's telling me what I need to do, how long to take with the quiz that's on there. and the diary, the activity that goes with it. One of the activities is a confidence quiz, and the student is ticking true or false. But there is nothing stopping us reading the sentences that go with that to assist them in choosing. Confidence is something you are born with, true or false, and then assisting the student to put that in there. So I don't think that is a barrier to any of this, definitely. And like I say, I trialed this a few years ago now for Gavin, and I used it with, now I'm trying to think how old my children would have been at the time. That means take 3 away from their current ages. So we had, one of them was 14, one of them was 9, so he was primary, and the other one was 15. So and all 3 of them did it, including the 9-year-old who did it on his own without any support. So definitely doable. Let's put it that way.
So let me just say, we have schools that are using Mindscreen in many different ways. So, or not in many different ways, but for getting many different benefits out of it, as it were. So one school is attaching elements of the child's profile to EHC plan application to support as a supporting information for the local authority. We have delivery in PSHE to mainstream pupils in class group 25, 28 pupils. We have obviously delivery in 1-to-1 in certain cases, and 1-to-2 to 4 or 6 small group delivery designed to help those pupils build up and re-engage more with their class and their classes and their learning. One of the key things is that mums and dads and teachers who pay it forward are telling us that it's helping them as much as it's helping the children.
Oh yeah.
They're feeling good about it. It's helping them learn a bit about themselves, their teaching style, and how they are, and how they build up their confidence. And it's helping everybody concerned, not just the children. So I'm just so pleased. I really am delighted that you guys are all listening this evening, and you're still here, and you haven't run away because it's not of interest. It means it's of interest, and together we have an opportunity. It's not just for SEN pupils. It's not just to help young people overcome destructive beliefs which lead to a life of disappointment and mediocrity, and maybe in prison, and or just a life of difficulty. We have an opportunity to help, I think, because every child could benefit from more confidence. Every child could benefit from better and a higher self-belief. And even if the star is, the aim is to be the greatest road sweeper in the world, then absolutely. And I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be sitting here chatting with professional people and demonstrating our product if I hadn't gone through it myself. And everything that I've experienced, all of the hardship, all of the battle inside your head to control your destructive thoughts and to override them and reframe into something more positive, everything is in this program.
And
I'm getting upset now.
You are. We can hear it, but that's your passion
I
coming
mean,
through. You really do.
I don't mean upset with anybody. I mean, emotional. I mean, I'm
Yes.
getting emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you really hit the nail on the head about teachers using it sometimes for themselves. I did it. So when my eldest children did it, I did it for myself. And I had that rubber band that was stretched. So my star and my circle were stretched across that thing. And actually it enabled me to sit back and go, oh, hold on a minute. Like, I'm not being me. And those of you who've been with me a while through the network group will know that I have become more me over the last couple of years. I'm no longer putting a face on. I'm no longer pretending things and trying to come across as something that I'm not. I'm just me. I'm genuine. And what you see is what you get. And what you see today is what you're going to get tomorrow, not some I don't know. I don't want to say fake because it's not fake. Not just some act, if you like. So yeah, it told me things about myself as well and helped me develop my confidence. So it will certainly help your students. Have you just pasted one, dear?
I have just pasted one. I'm not sure what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to put it up.
Okay.
So,
question coming up for you.
Deborah, here we go.
Just in case anybody's on their phone and can't see it, it's a big investment for a school when I'm unsure of the student engagement. I was hoping to see an example of a lesson in action or a small example of a resource. I see the benefit of the diagnostic tools. They seem great, but I'm still in the dark how it looks day to day. I could probably answer it. Sign up for the free trial and get 4 of the those 4 accounts and have a go with a small group of students and see the impact yourself because the resources are there. Is that going to be the answer, Gav?
Yeah, I definitely think that's the best way to go. Have a play. On the investment side, we've done our very, 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 very best to keep the cost as low as we possibly can. If you're, using this 4 pupil trial to play with it, and it turns out that you like it, then if you buy one of our larger packages, then it can be as little as £9, including VAT per child. That's the whole school package, but even if you back it down to a group of 40, for example, it's something like it's less than £20 including VAT per child, and £759 I think it is, to positively interact and influence the lives of 40 young people. I think that's. I don't want to get in an review about the cost.
I actually agree with you though, because sometimes we're always on the hunt for the free items because budgets are constrained and all the rest of it. But sometimes you have to put the money where your heart is, almost, if you want to have an impact. And for you just said £20 per pupil for 40 pupils to have an impact on their self-esteem, their self-awareness, their ability to self-regulate. That's nothing. £20 is nothing in the scheme of things, because that's a life skill. It's not a 5-minute skill. It's something they'll take away for life. So yeah, I'm with you, Gav. It's not an expensive product for what it is. But
if I was a different in a different financial position than the one I actually am in, I would give it away.
Yeah,
I would give it away forever.
We know you would, but we all have to keep a house over our heads and keep the servers running that actually have the data on it, and pay for the security and the ICO packages that we all have to do so that your data is secure. So I say £20 per student is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And take the trial out. Have 4 students for free. Have a look at what the resources are. See what's available. See if it will work in your school. Because I've worked in lots of schools. I can think most of them I could make it work in. I can think of one school where it just would not have worked, and that's just being completely honest. it just would not have been appropriate for those students and for what we were doing. So the trial out, you've got a chance to do it. Lots of companies now don't offer you the chance to do that. So I think everybody's got a really great offer there.
Thanks,
Feels like
Abigail. You said something that that I think everybody's going to be interested to hear. Obviously, GDPR, privacy, security is extremely important. About 6-8 months ago, we were audited by Veritao. Some of your schools, some of you guys will be a member, will use Veritao as your data security, due diligence, etc. So we were audited and passed, and later the school in question also audited us with our help, with our support. Obviously, we wanted them to get the information they needed, and they are customers. So you can rest assured that our security and data is
meets the requirements.
It's safe. It's safe.
It is safe.
Just to say, hold on. Deborah has now said that she is signing up as we speak.
Signing up as we speak. There we go. So it always goes down to that explaining it, putting it in context.
Let's talk about, okay, so tomorrow and Friday, tomorrow, today is Wednesday, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tomorrow and Friday, I've kept a clear diary, because I'm really hoping that the majority of those people who are on with us tonight choose to take advantage and give it a go. So I've got to go through quite a bit of work in order to set everything up for you. So when you sign up to the free trial self-esteem check account, that's all you have. You don't have access to anything else. So I have to work with our IT guys. We need to credit your accounts with the 4 units. We need to activate the account for you so that you will now have access to Mindscreen Experience. And then we need to obviously send you a brief email just to let you know it's ready and everything's available to you. So the objective is to subject to how many people sign up this evening, is to have notified everybody by close of business Friday that it's all done and dusted and ready for you to get started whenever the moment is right for you.
Brilliant. That's really good. I can actually see the question on the side. Somebody said they use their personal account for this meeting, but need to use their work mail for signing up. And the other Gavin, technical Gavin, has replied, yeah, we don't cross-reference your data. So what you've signed into this meeting with, whether you've signed in as yourself, the dog, your neighbour, the head teacher, it doesn't matter. That's not cross-reference to anything. If you want to take part in Mindscreen Gav's trial, sign up with your school address on that one. Yeah, that's the way we work for this, because we know what happens. I can never find my Zoom account most of the time. So there you go. All right.
That's why I'm in charge.
Yeah, that's why he's in charge. I can never remember passwords. Bless. Right, guys, it is nearly 5:10. I was going to say 7:10 then as well. It's nearly 5:10. So I think everybody needs to go home. They need to go and get their dinner. They need to remember to click on that link a little bit later or download it somewhere and to put it, sort themselves out with a trial for this. Don't forget, we have got another networking session tomorrow. So if you want to hear some more about SEMH, we have got IDL come along with their wellbeing module that they've now built into their program. So you can come along and have a look at that one and see what's going on there as well. As always, thank you to everybody for attending tonight. Gav, if you'd like to stay on the line for a few minutes, and we shall let everybody go and escape for their evening. Take care.